What's going on, everybody? I hope you guys are having a good Monday. I am going to just go over real quickly some of my thoughts on the NBA slate. Sheet should be joining us a little bit. Then we'll jump into NFL. We've got it scheduled at 6:45 Eastern, but it's really should be after 7 because there's no way we're doing it right before lock and basketball. Just too much stuff going on. But while the lineups are still building, I'll just go through like just some of the value where it's at. Obviously, Draymond is no longer playing, and there's just a slew of value for Minnesota in a great matchup between in Washington. It'd be really hard for me to see at least not a couple of these guys smashing. So I think you're probably going to end up with it. Starting off like at least 2 or 3 from Minnesota. Probably you're looking at least 1 to 2 from Golden State as just a baseline. And let me just run the Sims here and see what I'm getting. I'm only playing 12 lineups today, so I'm not playing a ton on NBA. Playing more in NFL. We'll get into that a little bit later. But for what it's worth, I do like Gobert. You could see what I tagged as my core plays here. Gobert, Amin Thompson, and Kyle Anderson. I think that's a pretty good place to start from. I do think there's other Houston plays available. So Houston would be the next team along with Golden State and Minnesota that I think you're probably going to want to get a lot of exposure to. Between Amen, Van Vliet, and I actually like Whitmore maybe a little bit more than the field it looks like it does at the moment. So I want to try and get a little bit more than the 8% that I've currently got. But that's what I got from running the Sims just with the Saber Sim projections. I'll go to see what the overall exposures are. Gobert, you see 91%. Maybe I can go a little bit, don't have to go full in on Gobert, but I still don't mind it. I like Steph tonight in Toronto. They're going to need some scoring. I really like Podol, like Buddy Hield. As I mentioned, love Alman Thompson. Probably will end up with higher than this on Alman Thompson and probably in most of my lineups. And it's Sabersim loves, for whatever reason, they love Jordan Poole today. And sure, okay. It is what it is. It's a run back to having that Minnesota Washington game. It's fine as a way of getting different. But I'm not loving getting to this much Jordan Poole or Grady Dick. So I'm going to lower this number here. I don't think we need to go crazy with these guys to this extent. This seems a little bit, and again, not playing a ton of lineups, so maybe I'm a little bit more willing to take some chances. But those are my 2 biggest differentiators right now. And I feel like maybe I can do a little bit better. And part of that is going to be making sure I have at least, I think I want more Wembanyama than this. I want 10 minimum, and I kind of want 10 minimum of AD. Unfortunately, center's pretty strong, so that's immediately this will lower my Gobert exposure a little bit, and when I rebuild, we can sort of go through that. As of right now, Anthony, the games in LA are being played tonight. They are 2 of the better locations in terms of what's been hit by the fires, and even the air quality is better over there than it was. But it's interesting. It's sort of surreal because they're playing a game right. I was supposed to go to the Rams game tonight, and they're playing a basketball game right next door to the Rams stadium. But for some reason, the Rams game was moved. Very, very strange. I understand they had to do it in advance, so that's why it happened. But as of right now, I'm treating them like they're playing. And like I said, the air quality is a little bit better on the coast here for some of us, and a little bit better downtown and at Staples. But the fires have moved a little bit more towards the mountains right now, so they haven't gone away. They're very slightly contained, and they're a little bit further away than they were. So you could look at certain parts of LA today and just it looks like normal life, and other parts it looks like World War III. So it's a strange thing overall that's what's happening. But anyway, I'm going to rebuild with those little changes I made, and again, I'm going to end up with more than what my minimums I set were. But I am curious to see where I end up on that. And I'm not as other than the studs in the later games, I'm not as interested in a lot of the fringier pieces. That Miami LA Clipper game should be a little bit of a slog. I did mention earlier that I like the idea of getting to a tiny bit of what's his name? It's even in a bad matchup, a little bit of why am I losing my brain all of a sudden? Of Zubac, but I don't think I'm playing enough lineups to where I'm going to get to much of it because I do think it's an interesting large field play, even in the bad matchup against Bam. Zubac is very underrated and has been pretty much like consistently awesome most of the season. So I feel like he gets overlooked quite a bit. 7,400 is a lot, but is he that much better at play than Podol? Probably not, but it is a way of getting some lower ownership. And he's got a range of outcomes, Zubac, but certainly 50 plus is not going to be surprising the littlest bit. Actually, there's an update on the Fires now, making sure that it's not about the games. Okay, as of right now, it looks okay, and they're doing a press conference, which I probably would like to watch, but here doing this instead with you fine people, which is totally fine by me. I've watched too many press conferences and seen too many things that are conflicting information. It's just crazy. I'm not playing Şengün. I have no issue with the Şengün play, but no, I did not get to much Şengün. I prefer the other centers. I'd rather play Wemby. I'd rather play AD. No issue with Şengün. Just prefer the other centers a little bit more. Also, you got the low price on Gobert, 5,200. So it's that's probably why I didn't get there. Let's see what we're getting exposure wise now. Now it's giving me all the Kyle Anderson. Again, you need some value on this slate. Don't have any problem with it. And not getting to as much Gobert, which again, I'd like to get a little bit more than what I've got right now. Let's put him at 22 and see if we can't rebuild again and see if we can find some things we like. Guys, drop in any questions or thoughts. Am I playing a lot of McDaniels? No, not especially. Jaden McDaniels is the kind of play that when he looks like a great play, it's a good matchup for him. He certainly could get there, but he is a wide range of outcomes guy that I think that we need to treat like that. And I am not as interested in trying to eat that much chalk. Now I have no problem if I ended up there, but he had a big game the other day. Cool. Most of the time, I think he's going to be right around 20 fantasy points, and that's fine. He's totally reasonable. But I'm not going out of my way. I think he and Kyle Anderson are very similar, but I'll give Kyle Anderson the little bit of the nod over him as of right now, but certainly don't have an issue with it. But I'm not trying. Jaden McDaniels is a guy I don't go out of my way to try to play almost ever. With the only reason I ever want to play him is at low ownership, because he really is always the same play. Jesus Christ! Now it's giving me all the Dylan Brooks. Which let's run the Sims and see where we go with that. I am sorting by unique rank right now. And I might, usually I like to mess with the min uniques a little bit. Today I'm not messing with it as much, and I'm going to finish my big buy-in as a hand build. My hand builds have been good lately. The Sims have not been good to me lately. So I'm just going to see what this gives me and see if I like where it's at. Yeah, this looks a little bit better to me. I really like the Amin Thompson, so I'm going to actually go 50 on Amin and keep making little tweaks. Again, I'm not as worried because I'm not playing a ton of lineups about the min destination ROI, but it's actually still showing up as a pretty reasonable number. So let's rebuild one more time and see where we're at. And I always like to slide it because I make changes. If you're going to be editing like I do, you should change this number to 49. Keep it as close to possible. You could even argue for basketball. You could go like 49.4 or something like that. But I'm okay with ending up with a lineup or two that might be a little bit leaving like a tiny bit on the table, but I'm certainly not trying to. All right, what else we got? Thoughts on Christie? You're getting 65% Christie. I have no issue with the Christie play. He's not a high usage guy. It's totally fine, but I don't want to go out of my way to get it. If I end up with some of it, I'm totally fine. The minutes are very secure lately, and I feel confident in that. So yeah, getting to some Christie is certainly makes some sense, but I don't know if I'd want 65% of it. Do I have a sneaky PJ Washington type play tonight? Oh, interesting. Let's go. I mean, Wemby. It's hard to call Wemby sneaky, but that's a play right around 10% that I want to be overweight on. I got 40% of them right now. So I guess Wemby. I don't know if and again, you don't think of it as sneaky, but it's just a fact that he's not getting played that much. And I'm getting 50% of Christie now, so I'm not sure whether I want to end up with that or not. I also think that Dorian Finney-Smith, and again, the more guys you can play in the later games, the better the late swap is going to be able to be effective for you. So certainly don't mind if you guys want to go that route, playing some of the later value versus the early value that we have. This looks a little bit better to me. I'm going to run the sim and see what we've got. Any Raptors? No. If we get word... So we have quickly... I don't have it. So you look. So Podol would be... No, I said no, but Podol is the one I like. I don't mind if you want to play Scotty Barnes or Barrett. My builds just didn't go there as much, but I think those would be the other two that would get the boost. You could make an argument for Grady Dick at low ownership, but for me personally, it's mostly going to be just Podol right now. But certainly no issue with Scotty Barnes, especially. He would be the next one in line for me, for sure. And you can see him up in the Nasri. Where am I at with Gobert? Where am I at with the Gobert? What did I miss him? 41%. Okay. Yeah, that seems about right. And this feels like a fairly reasonable build to me. Fairly reasonable results. I would like a little bit more of the Wemby, who I'm down to. What am I down to right now? I'm down to 16%. Let's just make him a little higher. I do like Wemby. Again, it's a tough matchup with AD, and AD's got a reasonable price, and obviously a tough individual matchup. But like, there's Spurs still play fast enough, and there should be plenty of rebound opportunities. But I'm going to go a little bit higher on Wemby than I currently was, and I'm probably going to rebuild again. Any Chris Paul? So I have no issue with Chris Paul. I actually prefer Vassell if I had to choose between the two. But you can't argue. Chris Paul has been consistently fine. I am not going out of my way to try to get him or Vassell. If I had to pick one, it would be Vassell. But I don't mind the Chris Paul play. I just didn't get to it myself. Again, only playing 12 lineups, so my ownership is going to be a little bit different than maybe some of the others out there. Do want to ask you guys, if you don't mind clicking the like button and all that stuff, we appreciate it. And then both this Finney Smith and Christie, I don't want to leave off the table, so I'm just going to put a little note on them because I think they're both viable enough. As is LeBron, by the way. And, LeBron, you want to try and search for narratives a lot with him. LA with the fires, he's probably going to do a little speech thing. I don't know. Somebody will say something before the game starts. My guess is it would be him. Maybe that gives him a little bit of an extra boost tonight versus the norm. Just throwing things out there because it's ways to get different. But you can see I'm okay with eating a pretty good amount of the chalk tonight. But at the same time, I am still getting this Jordan Poole. And the Ja Morant thing, it's a competitive game, and he certainly has a ceiling. I'm just not so sure the minutes feel worrisome to me. We got about 29.8. That seems right. And even the projection is not all that great. He does have plenty of upside. He is still questionable. And that is the thing. We do have some Q tags on guys in the later games. He's the big one because if he's out, it's still like the other Memphis guys are still sort of priced like where they should be. But there's probably something else we could find to do, whether it be Bane or Jaren Jackson. But I'm still leaning. Morant tends to play more of these times than most people. I don't like Harden. I don't want to go out of my way to get Harden. If I ended up with it like a tiny bit, I wouldn't mind it. I don't really see, with Kawhi back, bad matchup. Although the point guards have been better against Miami this year than in years past. So I did not get to Harden with Kawhi back as of right now. But if you wanted to, I'm not going to blame you for it. It's just not for me personally. All right, guys. Excuse me. So as far as the sneaky thing went, let's take a quick look at some other guys we can get a little different with in terms of maybe low ownership. I think Karl Anthony Towns is one of those guys. I absolutely think if I was playing 150, I'd be overweight this 8%. You got low ownership on Cade Cunningham. The price is high, but if they're going to stay in that game, you'd imagine that Cade would be a big part of it. And I did get to a little more Şengün than I thought I was going to, even though I like the other centers. But I have no issue with the Şengün play at all. I just like the other centers a little bit more. Other guys, Jalen Brunson's questionable, so that's tough to know what to do with. But if he does play, he's another one you can, as a contrarian, spend up. I mentioned RJ Barrett already. I think Bam at low ownership is interesting. Not a great matchup, but again, you're just getting low ownership, and we have a Q tag on him as well. So there could be some news and some shaking before the slate ends up locking tonight. And let me just take a quick look at this. By the way, for anybody who is a site member, there's a guy who's trying to pretend he's me. And please make sure you do not respond to it. It's Bobby YFI. That's BOBBY, then YFI is going through Discords pretending he's me for some reason. I don't really know what the reason would be. All right. Vote again. Let's just see real quick. One more thing. All right, trying to figure out what that is. Yeah, I just want to make sure this person is not running around talking as me, which is really annoying. Absolutely driving me crazy. All right, any questions or thoughts, guys? I'm pretty much ready to go with this NBA slate, assuming we don't get any more news, which we always do. Nothing new that's popped up recently. The Brunson midday downgrade is a little concerning. Maybe one way to treat that. I mean, you're going to have room after the first game anyway, because you're not going to use all your value in Minnesota. But I do think that we talk, we get into the whether it's Cameron Payne or where is McBride right now? Campaign or McBride. Probably McBride more than Campaign, but I don't mind the Campaign idea either if we do lose Brunson. Although I would be a little bit heavier on McBride, I think. I'm kind of curious where the projections would wind up. So that's most of what I've got for right now. We're going to be live a little later. I'm going to actually have to change. I have to get out of here to change the restream for the NFL because it's a little confusing. I don't know why we put it at 6:45. It should have been at 7. We should never have something 15 minutes before NBA locks ever. So it's just impossible for a different sport. Just really, really tough to keep up with. I'm going to rebuild one more time here and see where I end up with and maybe make a few different tweaks. And before I hand build my 555, and then we'll talk about some football once Sheets gets here in a little bit and I get on out of here. Yeah. All right, let's run this. And I can't edit it from this room, unfortunately. Let me see if it actually lets me do this. I don't think it will. Can I have 2 restreams open at the same time? I think maybe I can. Let me edit the other. It should not be 6:45. NBA edit event. Why can't I not change the name? Yeah, we got to fix this, Brandon, if you're out there. Because we got it saying 6:45 and I can't change the name. And Sheets is going to come in talking about NBA stuff, and I'm going to be done talking about NBA stuff. So, yeah, don't know why it's labeled like that. So I'll get out of here. It's a little confusing. We'll bring it back. I'll actually just see where I ended up. I'll run the Sims one more time with my little tweaks and see where we go. I'm going to probably end up messing with the min uniques after we see what kind of exposure we're getting here. But the main thing for cash and tournaments both is I just would be very heavily focused on Golden State, Minnesota, and Houston as the main ones. Okay, so it's certainly not giving me. Let's just see how far it drops if I go to 3, the mid destination. Actually, it gets better. Okay, this looks a little better to me. Maybe it doesn't give me. Okay, so we've got exposure-wise, Amin Thompson, Rudy Gobert, Steph Curry. Again, Steph is one I ended up with that I didn't go out of my way to try to plug in, but I did get there. I still have 33% Wemby. And where did I end up with on Davis? 41. So yeah, using the centers and utility almost exclusively tonight for me personally. I'm going to save these and upload them. And then I want to hand build when I get out of here. So let's just do this. And we'll go 1-13. All right. All right, guys. Thanks very much. Appreciate everything. There's some of my builds, which before I get yelled at by DraftKings, I'll get out of there. Good luck to everybody tonight, and we'll be back with football, and Sheets might be talking to some NBA in just a little bit.